Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of GeoTalks Express, where we will be talking about what's new in Global Mapper Mobile version 3. My name is Jeff Hatzel. I'm a product manager here at Blue Marble, and I'm joined today by my colleague Gus Cook. How you doing today, Gus?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here, Jeff.
Good. Yeah, thanks for joining me. We would be remiss to not mention that Mackenzie Mills is the Global Mapper Mobile Product Manager. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it today, so Gus and I are going to do our best to fill her shoes. So uh, we'll get started with some basic housekeeping stuff. I'm sure many of you, and I recognize many names on our list here, have been to our webinars before. The short version is you all are in listen only mode. We have a questions panel in the GoToWebinar interface. Please feel free to use that, send us questions. We will do our best to answer them live, and if not, there will be an email follow-up to those questions as well. And this is being recorded, so it will be posted on our YouTube channel at some point in the not too distant future. So if you have to step away today or feel like watching again or sharing with your colleagues, if you're registered, you'll get an email as to when that is posted, I believe. For those of you who love our webinar series, you could get your fill of myself and Mackenzie in the upcoming webinars for September and October, where we will be discussing the latest release of Global Mapper, which will be version 26. So you'll have a version 26 webinar on Wednesday, September 25th, and then a pro-specific webinar on Wednesday, October 2nd, so the following week. Those are both at 2 p.m. Eastern Time as well. Other than that, again, you can always head to our website and look at what we have upcoming on the calendar. There's always plenty more to be involved with, including our training. So those of you who have your phone now, you want to pop out and scan the QR code. We have a variety of training still left to go through the end of this year. Our applied geodesy training that also covers a geographic calculator app. We have some in-person training for those of you located in Calgary in early November. Lovely time of year to be up there, nice and cool. And then we'll have our online led set of Global Mapper training covering the basics of Global Mapper, terrain analysis, and LiDAR processing. And that should get us, at least those of us in the States, through just about Thanksgiving before we wind down for the rest of the year. So again, our upcoming schedule is pretty busy. Please feel free to head over to our website and dig in more. I don't want to take too much time discussing that calendar because it's a big one. Before we start the webinar, Gus, do you want to tell us a little bit about our academic programs? I know you've done quite a bit of work with them.
Yes, absolutely. So I thought we'd take a moment here to kind of plug in for those of you who may not be aware. If you are a faculty member at a school or university, or you're a student, maybe you could talk to one of your professors or a faculty member about getting connected with our academic program. We're always accepting new applicants. So what this entails is those who are enrolled within our academic program have access for a year once enrolled. They have access to Global Mapper Pro as well as Geographic Calculator. And this is available to all accredited schools and universities within the United States, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, and Italy. If you are not within one of those particular countries, that's still okay. We also offer discounted licensing that's available to academic institutions that are not within those particular listed countries here. So that's the first part of it, is the free available licensing for Global Mapper Pro and Geographic Calculator for accredited schools within those countries. And then the second part of it is the academic curriculum that we provide. And this has been recently updated, so it's all up to date to the latest version. It includes 13 kind of in-depth labs that are going to cover all the bases through step-by-step instructions in terms of kind of the key functions and tools of Global Mapper Pro. And we recently just created the 13th lab, which is going to talk about our variography and kriging tool. So definitely excited about that. So again, if you work at an academic institution and you're interested in getting involved, you can take a look at that web address in the bottom of this slide here at our website, bluemarblegeo.com, and then /academic programs. Anything else you want to add, Jeff?
No, I don't think so. That covers it great. These have been in the works for a long time, and you and the team have done a great job getting us, even a larger academic footprint than we already have. So it's a great thing we have out there.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it. Definitely excited about the new updates. But let's get back to the topic at hand here and talk a little bit about Global Mapper Mobile. So as the name of this webinar would indicate, version 3 of Global Mapper Mobile was just released last month. Let's take a step back and talk a little bit for those who might not be 100% familiar with the mobile application, what it entails. So essentially, Global Mapper Mobile is a kind of additional tool that is meant to be kind of used along with the desktop application, and this allows you to take your global mapper data into the field for reference and also editing. You can also create new data within the field and then share it back to your global mapper desktop instance. It's available on the iOS as well as the Android store. So you can run it on any mobile or tablet device that is within one of those supported operating systems. And it comes in a free and a paid version. And the free version has had a few updates, which I'm going to talk about. Then Jeff is going to take us through a little bit about some of the updates for the paid version, Global Mapper Mobile Pro. So we can talk about some of the specific updates here for this particular new version. So Global Mapper Mobile, the free version, we've had some user interface updates, including the configuration menu has been kind of adjusted and made a little bit easier to navigate. Something that I'm definitely excited about, the ability to create a new map, essentially a new blank map or a new one from a streamed data source, as well as the ability to adjust label text size so that it better fits the size of your display in your device. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about those updates. Jeff is going to walk through some of the pro updates. Elevation difference display, you can display, there's an option in configuration to turn on display of the elevation difference between your current GPS elevation reading and some loaded terrain data. We've also kind of added iOS support here for MLID, specifically the MLID Reach RX is what was tested, but now you can connect to MLID devices through Bluetooth. Also added the ability to add attributes through the volume calculation tool. So you have an existing area feature, or you create an area feature around some terrain data in the mobile application. You select that feature, you can calculate the total volume of whatever is within those particular bounds that you're defined, and then that area feature you used, you can also now apply those as attributes to that feature. And then lastly, a very popular tool within Global Mapper Desktop, our contour generation tool, has now come to the mobile application. You can create lines of equal elevation directly within Global Mapper Mobile Pro. So let's start off by talking about a couple of those user interface updates. So first off, we've kind of redone the start screen. We've reduced the number of available options here. You might notice that the button styling is slightly different. You can open an existing map as well as connect to an online source. I'll talk a little bit about what that entails in terms of the free version versus the pro version in a minute, as well as directly access the configuration for the application. We've also added the ability, when you select that option, to open a map. You're going to view a list of the mobile package files or other supported formats that are included in your internal storage of your mobile device. And previously, they were just listed as a file name. What we've added is these little thumbnail previews of what the data actually looks like, making it a lot easier to verify that you are selecting the particular data set that you are intending to open, basically. And then another kind of user interface related update, we've updated the menu look, kind of the styling of our menus, and kind of that goes along with some other just general visual updates there. Continuing along the lines of our user interface updates, the configuration menu has now been divided into kind of sub tabs here based on the particular category. So this is going to make it a lot easier to access a particular setting or particular option that you are trying to find here. We've also added kind of a simplification of the digitizer menus, kind of changing the wording on some of those options and making it a little more visually appealing and a little more straightforward to use. And then another additional update to the user interface is the ability to take quick images, capture quick images from the shortcut bar. So the shortcut bar is accessible to toggle on and off. If you look to the other side of this slide in the configuration options within that display tab, you can turn on your shortcut bar. So once you've turned that on, you have access to the top of the shortcut bar. It's on the top left of that screen on the far right of the slide. Access to some stuff related to your external GNSS device that you have connected to, as well as being able to zoom in and out, and then using those arrows below to pan around your data. And what we've added is the ability to also capture an image directly from this shortcut bar. So you can select that little image icon on the bottom of the bar. It's going to connect to your mobile device's camera. You can take an image, take a picture with your mobile device very quickly. And what it'll allow you to do is create a new kind of picture point, which is essentially a vector point feature that is connected to that particular image. So this is making it more convenient for a particular method of mobile data collection where your end result is to have kind of an image that is tied to a specific location. So you're going out to survey or look at a particular feature in the real world, you capture that image, maybe you move on to another site, you capture an image of that, and then you can share that back to your Global Mapper desktop application there. So moving on from the UI updates, we're going to talk a little bit about the ability to create a new map. So within our updated start screen, we have the option here to select online base map. Now, if you have the free version of Global Mapper Mobile, you can connect to, we have one available source, which is the OpenStreetMap web map service. So if you select that option within the start screen of the free version, it will allow you to specify a central lat long as well as a bounds that you're going to connect to, and this will default to your current location. You just click OK, and then boom, you've automatically created this new map based on OpenStreetMap for your current location. So that's one of the new methods kind of to create a new map from scratch. If you have the Pro module, you can actually configure which particular web map service you are going to connect to when you select that online base map option in the start menu or the start screen. So there is quite a few more available web map services and online data services that you can connect to kind of get started with your mobile data collection, or just to kind of get an idea of where you currently are. Additionally, we've added the option here to create a new map, a new blank map from scratch. So it's available. If we go 2 slides back, I think it shows that main menu drop down. Yeah, one more. Or one of these slides I thought showed that main menu on it. But yep, so right there on the bottom, I'd say right side of that particular slide, you can see this new option, create new map. And what this is going to allow you to do is for mobile data collection in the field, you're going to be able to just get started right away with your creating points or recording track logs or whatever you're doing directly in a blank new map that doesn't have any existing data in it. So this was something that was kind of heavily requested among users who utilize Global Mapper for that particular type of work, where they're going out in the field and they want to just quickly record a point or quickly start recording a track log. Now that you have the ability to, again, create that new blank map without having to import any data that was created in the desktop application there. And then in terms of the free version updates, we've got one more thing to talk about here, which is the ability to adjust the size of label display within the mobile interface. So you can, as the name would suggest, adjust the size of those to better fit the kind of size of your particular device's display and its screen. So this was another kind of user request that people have been waiting on, and I'm really excited that it got into this latest version here. So yep, those are essentially most of the major updates. There are quite a few other ones that we haven't mentioned, but those are the more major ones in terms of the free version of Global Mapper Mobile. I'm going to turn it over to Jeff now to talk about some of the new updates to the paid version of Global Mapper Mobile, Global Mapper Mobile Pro.
Thanks, Gus. Sorry for the poor scrolling there. I wasn't sure how far back we were going.
Yeah, no worries.
One thing I'll chime in on, a lot of these UI updates and reorganization and changes were available because we effectively rewrote the app in a new development framework. It's called .NET MAUI for those of you who are interested. And what that allows us to do bigger picture, in addition to all of the UI and organization type updates, is it let us to have a little bit more unified code base, so that for those of you who maybe move between iOS and Android, we can develop more consistently and the app will feel more similar and smooth across both operating systems, and it allows us to to update things more quickly as well. So that was kind of some of the under the hood motivation for that. Moving on to Global Mapper Mobile Pro and some new features on this side of things. We have some exciting, call them location-based type updates. So on the elevation side of things, it's very common for us to be in the field with some type of elevation data, raster terrain data, whether that is something in your GMMP or something from a online source you've added, or maybe somebody sent you a file that you added into an existing GMMP. And one of the new things that we can do is compare that location to the location provided by whatever location services you're using. So we'll see that now as an option, we have the elevation difference that can show on the display between your GNSS location and the elevation layer itself. This is important because we're not always in the field with the newest and most accurate data. And so this allows us to have some context of, do I need to resurvey this region that I'm in? Is this terrain data set accurate enough, or do I perhaps have to commission a new LiDAR flight, or send up the drone again to do some new photogrammetry in the area to get a little bit better resolution. Maybe you'll do something as simple as record some GCP control points and then shift this data set back in the office. So it gives us a quick way to get a little bit more kind of real world context as to the quality of some data that we might be working with. And I'm sure many of you are already thinking, well, just with built-in location services, we probably don't, have the accuracy to make that useful. And that's absolutely right. And that's why we're also mentioning here in this case, we now support all of the new MLID devices that have been whitelisted on iOS. Given that ideally, if you're doing something where you need high precision and high accuracy, you're probably using some type of external GNSS device, whether that is RTK or otherwise. It's worth noting for those of you who have been with us for a while, on the iOS side of things, it's a little harder for hardware developers, those who make, RTK units, for example, to get approval on iOS. And so very often you'll see a new vendor or new hardware come to Android first because it's a little easier to get support there, and then later on come over to iOS. And that's exactly what happened here. We've had MLID support, I think, for a little bit on Android, and we're now adding that to iOS as well. They have been great to work with, as have many of the hardware vendors. It's always our goal to be as hardware vendor agnostic as possible, so that if you run into a device that you want to use, we want you to be able to use it. And if we don't support it, shoot us an email and we'll look into getting that done. Because again, we want to keep Global Mapper Mobile as flexible and user-friendly in that regard as possible. Over the years, we've started to, slowly add more and more tools to Global Mapper Mobile Pro. And it's interesting to see, as people get in the field with it, what things they begin to request, right? It makes perfect sense that we've always been able to digitize and create features. Measuring, taking information and view shed analysis, things like that, all that our users have requested. And volume calculation is one of those as well. And that's in general been around maybe for a version or two now. It's really handy to be out analyzing piles, walk the pile to get a boundary, and then take a volume calculation based on that boundary. What's now more handy is we get a little bit more of a full report. So you have all of those values. You can visualize them on screen. Maybe you're comparing them to expected values you have somewhere else. But more importantly, saving them as feature attributes. So in addition to saving the report, you can also save it as part of the vector feature that you're using as the basis for your analysis, send it right back to the office, and now they have a preliminary value without needing to get into any analysis on their end, and can begin to look at and analyze data a little bit more quickly and have a little bit more of a feel for what's going on. So in addition to the volume calculation, contour generation is another thing that we had users request being able to do in the field. As Gus mentioned earlier, contour generation is bread and butter in the desktop version of Global Mapper. And to be able now to do that in the field gives us such a quick way to get a new frame of reference. Right, it's great to display a DEM or some type of terrain layer, but the power that contouring brings to that, and the ability to get a much better and precise feel of where you are within your landscape and what you're looking at. Many of these requests come from the architecture, engineering, and construction users that we have, where they're looking at maybe modeling a site or changing a site out in the field, and they need to see at a certain location, certain elevation ranges, just to be able to go stand and visualize where those changes might occur based on certain contouring parameters. This is not going to be the completely full-fledged contouring that we have in the desktop app, for obvious reasons. But you can specify whether you need contour range or a single elevation value contour, and some associated options with that, such as smoothing, appending labels, and things like that. So a really great way to do a little bit more analysis while out in the field. And I think you're going to, kind of continue to see that be the trend that mobile takes, where we want our users to do as much as they can and need to in the field, reasonably on a mobile device. So if you're someone who has other ideas and feedback in that regard, please feel free to send us that information. I know that, back when I first started at Blue Marble, Global Mapper Mobile was very much a brand new app and something that I was heavily involved in it. And to see how much it has grown from our user and customer feedback has just been a really great experience. Gus, anything you think I'm missing there with any of those features?
I think that about covers it. I'm definitely excited about the contour generation, definitely excited about, the updates to volume calc. So I can't wait to see, which of those other kind of related tools gets added to a future version. So the future for mobile is definitely going to be exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, did we neglect to mention, this may have been my fault earlier on, we do now have, in addition to some of the in-person and live training, we do now have a online hosted training website that you can get to right from our main website. And there is if not now, there will soon be a free mobile course up there to introduce you to the app, walk you through it. There will be some sample data, so certainly something that's worth looking at.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. If you are able to toggle back to that
Yeah.
slide that was related to our available training, that
Uh-huh.
QR code actually connects directly to
Yeah, that
um,
one. Mm-hmm.
our our online self-guided training. So there are a few free courses that are currently available there. One of which is mobile focused. So if you scan that QR code, you can go directly to our online classroom and access some of those free courses. The mobile course will be updated very shortly to the latest version. So definitely be looking out for that.
And while we have a couple minutes left here, a couple questions came in, especially around contour generation. The short answer to all of those is yes, you need to have some type of terrain data loaded. That would traditionally be, if you're preparing it in desktop, some type of raster terrain, whether that's a DEM format, it could be a surface model, terrain model, whatever the case may be. You need that data to generate the contours from. Um, Gus, do you know? I don't know off the top of my head. Would a streamed online source work? I believe it would, but it's not something I've tried firsthand.
I have not tried it either firsthand, but it's definitely would make sense for a smaller area if it did. I'm sure there's the limitation of the processing power of your
Mm-hmm.
mobile device, but within a limited area, I'm thinking that it should work. But
Yeah, and,
if
and
one
so
of you
you could,
tries it and it doesn't work, definitely let us know. So
yeah, and you could always within the app. There's an option to save an online source locally, and then you shouldn't have any issues. Um,
yes,
let's see.
absolutely.
We had another MLID related question. So I don't know. We don't have the complete list of all the MLID devices that are supported just yet. So if you want to shoot us an email, let me scroll back to our final page here. I think we have an email address up here. Oops, I scrolled one too far. What happened to our PowerPoint here? There we go. Um, Feel free to email us right here. So geohelp at bluemarblegeo.com and use that. Just double check on the complete embedded list because I'm not certain off the top of my head that full device list there. But otherwise, I think that wraps us up. If you are interested in applying for the Global Mapper Master Contest, go to our website or scan this QR code. Um, It's one of my favorite things to do is to read the submissions of how our users are using um, the application in their work or research or whatever the case may be. So definitely take a look at that. I believe submissions and contestants are also selected to speak at our annual virtual conference, GeoTalks, which is usually January, February timeframe. Uh, Anything else, Gus, or does that pretty much cover us?
I think that about covers it in terms of
Yeah.
Global Mapper Master. It's competitive every year, so I'm excited to see what everybody's going to write in about this year. So I think that
Yeah.
about covers it.
Great. Oh, I do see one last question I'll answer. It's a quick one. If you take a photo in the app, it is inherently geotagged. That may assume you let your camera have location information, but otherwise, yes, it is geotagged. It'll show up on the map, and you could do with it, what you chose from there. But yes, it is created with the geotag. Again, thank you all for attending. Keep an eye out for this recording in the next week or so. Take a look at the online training and anything else that you may have interest in. I will be back with you end of September, early October for what's new in Global Mapper version 26 and Pro.